Hello, my name is Glenn Dyer, and you are watching a Dyer-Situation. Today I'm seeing The Conjuring 2. Okay, alright, so, in preparation for this movie, I watched the first Conjuring, which I had an opportunity to see in 2013, but, now is the time of a lot of Blumhouse, so I probably just assumed it would be bad and didn't bother. And I also saw Annabelle, because that was a, that was the prequel movie, and I highly regret doing it. So, anyway, as for the first movie, believe it or not, I kind of enjoyed it. Yeah. Surprised me too. I mean, its reliance on jump scares was slim to none. I think there was like one or two, although one of them was kind of a half jump scare. The rest of it is mostly built on like theme and mood and tension, which is great. Like, that's a good horror movie to me. Characters were likable and pretty fleshed out. Like, I just like the characters of the Warrens and stuff, and how they interacted with each other, and I thought that was cool. I like the lore details in that thing, that this is a house being haunted by, like, a dozen ghosts because one really evil ghost has been, like, causing parents to kill their children for decades and have the ghosts remain there forever. Like, that was kinda cool. Just because, like, all these different haunting scenarios were going on at the same time. It was just a neat thing. It's not perfect, though. It has problems. Like, for instance, one of the subplots is a girl has a imaginary friend. Which, of course, is one of the ghosts or something, but, you know, overdone, but in its defense, that's one of the subplots, and it's not really, and that wasn't one of the evil ghosts, and, you know, it's pretty much explained away, like, pretty quickly. Once the investigators come in, like, it's pretty much subdued really fast. So, that's my defense on it. And also, just, like, towards the end, once it loses the whole mystery of what's going on, it starts to lower down its level of just tension and mood. Like, it starts to differ. It starts to become a little more action-oriented. Not to the point where it ruins the movie for me, but I can see why it would annoy someone. And definitely not to the point of, like, the Poltergeist remake or something like that. Like, nobody gets sucked into a CGI, glam fest or something. Although there are a few times where somebody is in a CGI monster face and they jump out, and yeah, that was annoying. Although a lot of the time, I have to say this, most of the time, the people in the monster stuff, they're actually in the room. It's a lot scarier to me. Like, when the lady's backing up against something and you see a hand coming out, it's not a CGI hand. You can tell. It's somebody's real hand, just hidden in the shadows through good lighting. Might sound obvious, but, like, Blumhouse never does that. Almost never does something like that. And I know it's not really going to convince anyone over to the movie if I just say, well, it's better than Blumhouse, because Blumhouse is, like, dead straight in the middle of mediocrity. Like, so, if you're better than that, it's not that great an achievement. But, yeah, the first Conjuring, not that good, but definitely, well, not perfect, I should say, but definitely on the good side of my radar. And then there's Annabelle. So, in case you're wondering, let's see, Annabelle is basically taking the story from the beginning of The Conjuring, Because during the beginning part, in order to establish who the Warrens are and what they can do, they're showing a recording of them dealing with an evil doll called Annabelle. And pretty much these little girls explain to them what the doll is and what it's been doing. It's basically like a Chucky thing, like it's haunted by a spirit and it does evil things or something. And the Warrens immediately disprove everything and say, oh no, it's a dark spirit, there probably never was an Annabelle and stuff, and just totally subdue that whole thing. And that was cool in the movie, it was cool. Interesting idea that they decided to take that and make a whole movie of it, probably because people were just freaked out by the Annabelle doll in general. And there was a scene in The Conjuring where the Annabelle doll started haunting the Warrens' kids, which didn't feel normal in that movie. That felt like something that might have been added later after test audiences decided, ooh, that doll's so scary. My main problem with that, with how the doll looks, is that no one would want that doll. Like, in the Annabelle movie, they try to explain in a way, like, when it originally appears, it looks a little nicer. Like, because it doesn't have, like, blood and burnings all over it. And, you know, they say, oh, it's part of the collector's edition or something. No, people still find that pretty friggin' creepy. And certainly nobody would buy it with the burn marks and stuff all over it. It looks like a haunted doll. It looks like something that nobody in their right mind would get. And just silly to me. I would be somewhat okay with it if that's how the doll was, but bear in mind, the real doll that the Warrens investigated was a Raggedy Ann. Like a little cloth thing. It looked like a normal doll. That's complete 180 of what this movie presented. And just in general, complete downgrade from The Conjuring. Like the characters involved were kind of stupid. The story was like all over the place, and just the scares in general. Lots of jump scares in this one. Lots of just general laziness as far as horror and stuff, and really disappointing in comparison to The Conjuring. So I guess for this movie, I'm hoping it's more like the first Conjuring, not like Annabelle. Although I don't think this movie is directed by James Wan, who directed The Conjuring. Also directed Saw and Furious 7. And the upcoming Aquaman movie. Whoa! So I don't think it's directed by him this time, which is worrying, because Annabelle wasn't directed by him either. So, we'll see. Although, he also directed the first two Insidious movies. We all know how those are. Still have no idea what happened in that second film. Jesus Christ. But anyway, I'm hoping this film is good. I'm not... Story-wise, I'm not sure how it's going to try to make a sequel to it, because... As far as I recall, like, the first Conjuring's based on, like, their last and most awesome case, right? So how do you follow up on that? Do you go back to one of the other cases? Like one of the slightly less interesting ones? Or are they just gonna make something up completely? I don't know. Yeah, we'll just have to see. Let's do it! It was worse than Annabelle. A lot worse. So, but before I get into the actual review, I just want to add something. I think I found proof with the first Conjuring movie that Blumhouse does indeed have a computer program writing most of their movies. Well, like at least 90% of the script in each of their movies is written by a computer. I have evidence of this now. Right. Because you know how in the darkness, right, there was like two random scenes where somebody was insinuating that being a devout Christian might have saved them from the situation, even though the situation has nothing to do with Christianity whatsoever, right? It was something like they had that cross and they're like, no, that won't work here, or something like that, because they're talking to the people, not talking about the demons or something. Like, no, that won't work in this house. You know, something like that. I think I know why. Because in The Conjuring, there's a line where Ed Warren says, like, are your kids baptized? And she says, no, we aren't really into that. We aren't really that religious. And he says, well, it might help. Although the thing is, in that movie, it makes sense. The thing they're fighting against, it's a demon, and like Christian symbols honestly help against it. It made sense. But what I think happens is that Blumhouse's computer, it automatically pumps out scripts, right? But it's programmed to analyze the scripts of any at least mildly successful horror film that is not Blumhouse, and take certain unique aspects from it that it can detect. And it detected allegations that Christianity would have saved them and put it into the darkness, even though it didn't really apply to that movie. See, a person would have recognized that it didn't apply to the movie, but the computer doesn't see any difference. See? So there's the evidence. I'm going to try looking for more. And it's also probably not a coincidence that those the first two Insidious movies were directed by James Wan as well. Also, apologies, James Wan directed this movie too. He didn't direct because at the beginning I said he isn't directing this one. He did direct this one, although doesn't look like it. It looks completely different from the first movie. So let me get into that. You know, in the first movie, how I mentioned, there's like one or two jump scares, but for the most part, it relies on actual tension and build-up and mood in order to get its horror across. This is the polar opposite. It relies entirely on jump scares, with very little tension and mood. You know, the opening scene in a film is probably the most important scene in the whole damned thing. It sets up the entire tone. It sets up who the characters are, normally. It sets up the theme. It sets up so much, and without it being completely solid, the rest of the movie falls apart. So, tell me if this is a good idea or not. To have your horror film, your rather serious horror film, start off with an action scene. That happened. This movie starts off in the most bizarre and confusing manner, where the Warrens are engaged in a seance, and Lorraine Warren goes around emulating some dude who used a shotgun to kill his family. So she's just barging through the house, like shooting an imaginary shotgun at people, and then a demonic nun comes and she screams a lot. What? You know, come on, like, it's honestly like a totally different movie from the first. The first movie opened up with these girls explaining, like, what Annabelle is and the whole mystery behind that, and then the Warrens calmly explain exactly what she is, setting up their whole character, setting up the fact that they know a lot of stuff, and that they are going to be, like, the saving grace of the film. And this movie seems to have no concept of that. At all. Like, one of the scariest parts of the first movie is that the ghosts we do see, and we do see a few, they aren't on screen for very long, and they are all the good ones. They're the ones that were honestly just hapless victims more than anything else. The actual, like, witch person, the person who's, like, set this whole thing up, you never see her face. You never see most of her body. You see her hanging limp corpse every now and then. And that's about it. That is freaky. In this movie, boo, scary demonic nun. It's a nun with monster teeth. Oh, and cranky old man. Cranky old ghost. You know, it's a bad sign when you're watching a horror film and you honestly think its premise could have been like a reasonably good sitcom. Like, can you imagine, like, this whole family's living in a house, and there's just this old man who's a ghost. He's like, "Get out of my house, you kids!" There's a scene in this movie where, I'm not joking, this is a scene intended to scare people. So let me describe the whole scene and tell me if this sounds scary to you. A girl is watching some sort of Monty Python type show on TV, and then the channel changes to a political debate. And then the ghost steals the remote so she can't change it back. This is a serious scene that happened. This is meant to be a scary scene because she's looking around like, "Where's the remote? Oh no, the television, it's a political show." Like, in a sitcom that works. Like, the cranky old ghost is stealing the remotes and only watching C-SPAN or something. You know? And then he appears from behind the TV and he goes, "My house." He just does it like that. It's so funny. Oh, man. Like, honestly, I'd say this was funnier than Insidious Chapter 3, which is a pretty funny movie. Not quite as over-the-top, funny, stupid as, say, the Poltergeist remake. Although the ending of this was just as cartoony, over-the-top, and ridiculous. Well, not nearly as ridiculous as actually not nearly as ridiculous as the Poltergeist remakes one. For instance, they don't get pulled into the CGI hell world. God, that's stupid. But no, instead, the ghost lightnings a tree into a spear and then breaks open a window so that Ed Warren can fall onto it. So ridiculous. And the demon can be destroyed by saying its name! God. You say... Its name's Pazuzu. It's actually not. It's something else. God, who... Jesus, this doesn't feel like a movie directed by the same guy. This feels like something completely different. This is like the difference between Insidious and Insidious Chapter 2. Where, like, the first Insidious was stupid, but it, like, somewhat serviceable, and then the second one went completely off the rails, and I still can't comprehend what the hell happened in it. This is like that difference, where the first movie was pretty good, and this movie was pretty dang bad. Not completely off the rails, though. What am I even talking about? Yeah, this movie's stupid. It's also really funny. At times. Tone is all over the place. Like, for, like, I'd want to say, like, 80% of the movie, it's near constant jump scares, near constant spooky things are happening, chairs are flying all around the room. And then, randomly, there'll be scenes of, like, family bonding moments, and singing Elvis songs. Like, admittedly, I like the scene where they're singing this Elvis song. It's fun, but completely confusing in the tone of the movie. Like, honestly, to comedic effect, this was a very funny movie. So, it's failing in, like, tone, it's failing in horror, it's failing in, like, being a very good sequel. It's failing in so many ways. Although, there's a scene where a dog turns into a giant, like, CGI, man, and it's just like, I'm gonna kill you all in song. Like, that actually happens. He starts singing, I'm the Cookity Man and I'm gonna kill you all. So stupid. Oh. But, also just, like, plot-wise, it doesn't make much sense. Let me just say, the whole movie is built up over whether or not this whole thing is a hoax. Like, that is a major plot point. You're not supposed to know that. A point that I think is completely diluted by the fact that we see the ghost multiple times, and we know it's there. And I know this movie isn't smart enough to mess around with media literacy stuff, so the ghost is real. There is no mystery, but they act like there is. And it's made so much worse by the fact that, like, they go to a lot of trouble to make it almost plausible to everyone except the audience. For instance, there's this scene that I actually really like, where the little girl makes them turn their backs to her while she contacts the old man ghost, and then the camera focuses entirely on Ed Warren's face and the girl's in the background, all pixelated, and we can't actually see her. We see something in the fuzziness, but we aren't able to make it out. That was kind of cool. Made you think, oh man, what is that? What's going on there? But ruined by the fact that several scenes beforehand we saw the ghost, and we saw him interacting with people, and Jesus. And, like, there was, one of the things that happened is that bite marks show up on people. And there was a scene where they find, like, dentures, like actual dentures with the tooth marks. And I was expecting that was going to be a thing, like, that's how they made the marks, they put the dentures on there. Nope! Didn't lead to anything. This was entirely wasted plotline here. I think mostly because, like, this particular case was pretty open and shut for them, but still, that's really dumb. So, yeah, that's the thing. Really terrible movie, I have to say. Kind of funny. Not enough for me to recommend it, though. So, yeah, that's too bad. And until next time, I'm Glenn Dyer, and you have been watching A Dyer-Situation.